Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Millennial Revolt, an independent political talk show that seeks to bring a different narrative than the stale one we have going on right now in the mainstream media. So today we're going to be talking about Park Guen Hye, we're going to be talking about her administration, and we're going to be talking about the scandal that may force her to resign. There's so much to get into, so let's just get right into it. On October 24th, it was reported that President Park Guen Hye was involved in a scandal with her close aide and confidant Choi Soon-il after she was arrested for allegedly meddling in the affairs of the government and exerting influence on the president, who was in her fourth year of her presidency. On October 25th, a day later, President Park Guen Hye issued an apology to the nation after the South Korean media sparked a massive outcry over Choi's role in the 64-year-old president's decision-making. Choi befriended Park after Park Guen Hye's father, Park Chung-hye, was assassinated in 1979. Rarely spotted making public appearances, Choi's face was relatively unknown to the public before the scandal broke out. A close friend, Choi reportedly acted as Park's close spiritual advisor. Her former husband, Chun Yong-hoi, served as aide to the president while Park was a lawmaker. However, the scandal is rooted in allegations that Choi had a huge amount of influence on economic, foreign, and defense policies that were adopted by the president. There are also allegations that Choi took home part of $70 million she received from major South Korean companies for two of her foundations. Choi's arrest has also led to the opposition demanding that authorities also investigated Park, whose approval rating has taken a plunge to 5%. In a recent opinion poll, Park's prime minister-designate Kim Byong-jun told reporters that it was possible for investigators to look into Park's alleged role in the scandal despite her presidential immunity. However, he maintained that any investigation into the president must be carried out carefully. Park has acknowledged the fact that Choi has edited some of her speeches, along with helping her regarding public relations, but there is no mention of her aide having played a role in larger government affairs. With Park's own statement allowing a direct investigation, authorities may launch a probe into the president's role soon. The president has also attempted to allay the vast dissent she is facing by reconstructing her administration. 10 of her senior secretaries were asked to resign last week, and she announced the appointment of a new prime minister and finance minister. Korean investigators have since widened their anti-graft probe into Park's aides and businesses, raiding the offices of Samsung Group, South Korea's largest family-run conglomerate, and Lotte Group. Mass protests against Park over the past 4 weekends have been the biggest public demonstrations seen in South Korea since the 1980s. More than 1 million people are expected to gather on Saturday, including about 8,000 farmers, raising concerns of clashes with the police, trying to prevent the crowd from marching to the presidential Blue House. Parks, whose 5-year term ends in February 2018, has apologized twice over the affair, but is resisting calls for her resignation. Even some members of her ruling SEOUL party have said she should step down, but she would risk losing immunity against prosecution if she did. Meantime, opposition parties are canvassing for support to impeach her. While the opposition parties control parliament, they would have to garner votes from Park's own party to secure the 2/3 majority needed to pass a motion to impeach her. Some media have reported that could well happen. The political turmoil has exacerbated business confidence in Asia's fourth largest economy, which is already suffering from slowing growth and rising household debt. This is a serious problem because companies are delaying all their business decisions due to political uncertainties. Hang Sung University economics professor Kim Sang-joy said, "All policymaking seems to be at a pause." South Korea's cabinet approved a bill that will allow opposition parties to pick candidates for an independent council to investigate the influence peddling scandal surrounding President Park Guen Hye and her confidant Choi Soon-sil. The bill was passed by the National Assembly after Parliament's Legislation and Judiciary Committee agreed to allow the opposition parties to recommend candidates. The endorsement was announced at the cabinet meeting presided over by Yoo Il-hoo, Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs. Park has not been attending cabinet meetings for 6 consecutive weeks. A presidential spokesman said Park will give final approval to the bill as planned, despite concerns that chief executive may not accept the endorsement after rejecting charges levied against her by state prosecutors who have been carrying out the investigation into the scandal. Prosecutors booked Park as an accomplice in the criminal case surrounding Choi and key former aides. Park's attorneys made clear that the preliminary results are not true and are based on wishful thinking and conjecture of investigators. He then questioned the fairness and credibility of the probe, with the presidential office Cheong Wang-dae even hinting that the prosecutors are approaching the issue politically instead of adhering to strict interpretation of the law. Under the bill, the main opposition Democratic Party and the splinter People's Party will select 2 candidates from the independent council, with Park officially designating one of them to the post. Around 105 investigators will join the team to study deeper into the corruption scandal. The independent council will have 20 days to make preparations for the investigation, followed by 70 days to complete the probe. Upon approval from the president, the period can extend to 30 days. So I understand why President Park doesn't want to step down. If she does step down, she loses her presidential immunity. If there is wrongdoing found in the case and that she did help engage in corruption, then she could be going to prison along with her Rasputin-like friend who is her spiritual advisor. There is also tons of infighting within her own political party. People are also trying to impeach her. And there's also millions of protesters who are asking her to step down, which she still refuses to do. So there's a lot of political turmoil that's currently happening in South Korea right now. Opposition parties are poised to introduce a motion to impeach President Park Geun-hye and put it to a vote as early as Friday. After consultation, the opposition camp is forecast to propose the impeachment bill, which will be sent to a plenary session the following day. The vote could take place as early as this Friday, but no later than December 9th. The 2 opposition parties, along with the splinter Justice Party, will decide on the timetable of the vote. Democratic Party of Korea floor representative Woo Sang-woo said the 300-strong National Assembly is likely to approve the motion, with 172 opposition and independent members and nearly 40 ruling Sang-woo Party lawmakers, which is President Park Geun-hye's own party, having expressed their consent. It requires 2/3 of ballots in a floor vote. Once the motion is passed, Park's duties are suspended and transferred to the Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-yang. The National Assembly must humbly uphold the will of the people and respond with strong and firm solidarity towards impeachment. Democratic Party of Korea floor spokesman Representative Ki Jong-ming said in a news briefing. In line with the people's demands, not only the opposition parties, but also conscientious forces within the ruling party should join the united front to bring an end to the Park Geun-hye administration. People's Party interim chief and floor leader, Representative Park Ji-woon, provided an upbeat outlook for the bill's passage, quoting some Sang-woo lawmakers as saying more than 60 of its members would give their consent. The party's former chair, Representative An Chil-soy, warned ruling party officials against political calculations that would amount to yet again betraying the people who braved the cold to take to the streets. Democratic Party and conscientious Sang-woo lawmakers should join with us in impeaching the president, Park Jin-woon said during a lecture at Changsung University in Gangji. Pro-Park Geun-hye Sang-woo legislators, too, should search their souls and come to our cause, as we must pursue patience, concessions, and compromises till the end for the impeachment of President Park Geun-hye, who is our public enemy. While anti-Park Sang-woo lawmakers gather forces to back the impeachment drive, the party issued official commentaries simply saying it respects the citizens for their peaceful and orderly behavior during the rally as well as their resolve. A group of 27 former and incumbent Sang-woo lawmakers, including Gyeonggi Province Governor Nam Gyun-pil, held a meeting urging the party to facilitate the impeachment procedures and ultimately disband to take responsibility for acting as the president's accomplice. Park, meanwhile, is coming under even more mounting pressure also from the prosecution, which has notified the presidential office she has to undergo and face-to-face questioning no later than Tuesday. But Chang Wang-dae and her lawyer continues to keep mum, apparently being mindful of the forthcoming special investigation that is rapidly approaching. The president is required to appoint the lead investigator within 3 days. In another development, a Parliament Public Committee in charge of examining the scandal is forecast to accelerate its work with scheduling briefings from involved agencies, including the Supreme Prosecutor's Office and the Culture, Justice, and Health Ministries. Speculation is growing that Park might give another apology to diffuse nationwide protests. Public sentiment is not on President Park's side, and her approval rating has fallen between 5 and 4%. More than 1 million protesters gathered in central Seoul last Saturday in the 5th consecutive weekly rally, organizers said. Organizers claimed a record high 1.5 million joined the rally despite cold weather and snow higher than the some 600,000 participants observed last week and exceeding the 1 million who protested 2 weeks ago. Throughout the country, organizers said 1.9 million joined in calling for Park's resignation. And that's what I can appreciate about most Asian countries is when their leaders are involved in corruption, are involved in scandal, the people come out peacefully and protest and make their sentiments known. Opposition and the ruling party come together to try to remove the corrupt politician from power. You don't see that in our country. Lawmakers are actually covering up for each other, which is one of the saddest things I've ever seen, but I digress. The protesters also marched within 200 meters of the presidential office of Chang Wang-dae, holding banners with messages such as "Arrest President Park and surrender now." Organizers initially planned to hold the rally near Chang Wang-dae deep into the night, but the court banned the move, allowing the protesters to stay there only until 5:30, citing safety issues. The rally marks the 5th of its kind after the outbreak of the scandal. President Park's friend, Choi Sung-sil, has been her friend for more than 40 years and is suspected of exerting influence over state affairs despite holding no official position in the incumbent administration. South Koreans have been expressing anger over the allegation that Choi exerted her influence in the business, cultural, and sports areas. President Park has also seen protests over the THAAD deployment, which Beijing has actively opposed. Professor Guen Hye of political theory at Seoul's National University said that we may see President Park's resignation followed by immediate re-election for the next president. He said, "This is the first scenario. Many are calling for this process right now." He also said that there's another possibility that President Park may retreat and surrender any real power to execute laws or policies, allowing a newly selected prime minister chosen by opposition leaders to coordinate state affairs until the end of her term in 2017. He also added, but this second scenario is more and more unlikely because mass protests are growing, so time is running out. Either way, it's almost impossible for her to maintain her original power. And many people are saying this is good news for China because it has proven to be a thorn in Beijing's paw by relentlessly hounding North Korea, China's ally and buffer against the West. She shut down the Kaesing industrial complex and collaborative economic ventures between the two Koreas, toured the world collecting support for the harshest ever UN sanctions against the North, and passed a law to document Pyongyang's human rights abuses, and said in a speech to North Koreans last October, "Come to the free land of the Republic of Korea at any time." She has also enraged Beijing over the THAAD and GSMIOA issues. THAAD is the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System and is deployed by the U.S. military. In part, plans to deploy it in South Korea to defend against the North. But Beijing believes its radars could be used by the United States to spy on China. Beijing has also been wary of Seoul and Tokyo's GSMI, or the General Security of Military Information Act, GSMIOA, will enable the two neighbors, Japan and South Korea, to share military secrets directly that are classified second degree or less without going through the United States. The classified information includes North Korea's evolving nuclear and ballistic missile activities, which Seoul has limited capacity to monitor fully. Japan has accumulated a wide range of intelligence on North Korea using its reconnaissance assets according to its military sources. South Korea will offer North Korea-related secrets it has gathered from sources such as defectors and agents on the North Korea-China border and from monitoring its demilitarized zone. In Japan, Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the GSMIOA is meaningful, adding that North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missiles are posing a higher level of threat and that the importance of security cooperation between South Korea and Japan has increased. The pact, however, does not allow the two countries to pass information obtained from the other to a third party without permission. All intelligence sharing will be made under the principle of reciprocity. After a 4-year hiatus, the two sides resumed these controversial talks on November 1st, and it took less than a month to conclude the deal, drawing a strong backlash from opposition parties as well as civic groups. They are accusing President Park Guen Hye and her government of unilaterally striking the deal without considering public sentiment against Japan's unrepentant view towards its atrocities during World War II. Now, there is a huge issue between Japan and South Korea over the comfort women issue, and many people saying that Japan is unrepentant about it and they will not apologize. And the legislators were also critical of the deal because the Park administration pushed for it despite growing calls for Park to step aside from all state affairs while she was involved in the scandal that is currently consuming her administration right now. Citing the sensitivity of the issue, the Defense Ministry did not open the signing of the pact between Han and Nagami to the media and decided to release related photos taken by the Defense Ministry officials. In response, photojournalists staged a protest, putting their cameras on the floor when the Japanese ambassador entered the ministry. The government's move angered the photojournalists because it only gave notice just before signing. The Defense Ministry admitted it failed to take public consensus into account concerning GSMIOA. The opposition parties plan to submit a joint motion on November 30th demanding the president sack Han over the disputed agreement. So there is so much happening on the Korean Peninsula right now. I will definitely keep you guys updated. I'm the Millennial Revolt. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.